Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going on an incredible journey, and all of it is because of one single sentence. We're going to trace how this one idea traveled through collapsing empires, reshaped religion, and started with a question that is just as real today as it was thousands of years ago.
It all kicks off with a question that I think every single one of us has asked at some point. You look around at a world that just feels unjust, chaotic, and you just ask, why? So let's dive in and find out where that question first came from.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our story begins more than 2,600 years ago in a kingdom that was just teetering on the brink of total collapse.
To really get this, you have to picture the map around 620 BC. This was the world of a prophet named Habakkuk. The Assyrian Empire, once this huge superpower, was crumbling, and in its place, the brutal Babylonian Empire was expanding like crazy. And Habakkuk's home, the tiny kingdom of Judah, was stuck right in the middle of it all.
Now, from the outside looking in, you might have thought things were okay. The king at the time, Josiah, had pushed through these big religious reforms. But Habakkuk saw what was really going on. He saw that underneath that respectable surface, the society was deeply sick. We're talking violence, corruption, the wicked were getting rich while the law was totally powerless. So he doesn't go preach to the people. No, he takes his complaint directly to God. And his question is so blunt. Are you there? Do you even see all this injustice? Why aren't you doing something? It's this raw, honest cry that I think we can all relate to when we look at the chaos in our own world and wonder, where is the justice?
So, God does answer. But, oh boy, it is not the answer Habakkuk was hoping for. In fact, it sounds like it's going to make everything 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, you heard that right. God's solution to the injustice inside Judah was to send an even more ruthless, more violent nation to come and judge them. I mean, can you imagine hearing that? Is it complaining about a leaky faucet and being told the solution is a tsunami?
This just completely blows the prophet's mind. It makes absolutely no sense. But, and this is key, hidden inside this terrifying prophecy, God gives Habakkuk this principle for survival. It's a single cryptic sentence that holds the key to everything that comes next.
And there it is. That's the sentence. In the face of certain doom and total confusion, the person who is righteous, the one in a right relationship with God, will survive. Not by their own strength, not by their own smarts, but by their faith. This one line, it becomes the thread that we can pull through the rest of history. Okay, so this is where the story takes a really fascinating turn. Habakkuk's world, with all its empires and kings, eventually just crumbles into dust. But that one sentence he wrote down, it survives, just waiting for a new generation to come along and unlock its full meaning. For almost 600 years, this phrase just kind of sits there, It's there, but it's quiet. Then, during the Apostolic Age, the writers of the New Testament pick it up, and they have this massive aha moment. They realize it was never just about surviving the Babylonians. They saw it as the cornerstone of God's entire plan for all of humanity. And this is so cool. 3 different authors take this one ancient verse, and it's like they're holding a diamond up to the light. Each one turns it just a little and reveals a brilliant new facet of its meaning. First up, you've got the Apostle Paul. He quotes this sentence in his letters to the Romans and the Galatians, and he makes this revolutionary point. Being made right with God isn't something you can earn by following rules. It's a gift, and it's received simply through faith. Then the author of Hebrews looks at that exact same line and sees a different angle. For them, this faith is what gives us the power to hang on, to endure when life feels absolutely impossible. So let's be really clear about what faith means here. It's not just wishful thinking or, crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. The New Testament writers see it as a deep relational trust. It's about grabbing hold of God's character and his promises and not letting go, especially when the world around you is confusing and painful. It's how our relationship with God starts, and it's the fuel that keeps it going. So, as this story unfolds across the Old and New Testaments, you start to see this incredible pattern emerge. God has a thing for using deliverers to rescue his people. See, back in the Old Testament, after the Babylonians had come and gone, God raised up this Persian king, Cyrus the Great, to free the Jewish exiles and let them go home. He was a physical deliverer. Well, the New Testament writers looked back at that and said, whoa, hold on, that's a preview, a foreshadowing. They saw Jesus as the ultimate deliverer. And this comparison just lays it all out. Cyrus rescued one nation from one physical place, Babylon.
Jesus offers a rescue for all people from a spiritual state, our separation from God. One rescue was temporary for one group of people, the other is eternal and for everyone. But the core principle? It's exactly the same. Salvation comes from God and we receive it through faith.
Okay, so this has been a huge, epic journey across centuries, all for one little sentence. But what does any of this have to do with us, right here, right now? How do we live by faith when we, just like Habakkuk, look at the world and ask why?
Well, Habakkuk's own journey actually gives us this practical 3-step model. It starts with what's called worrying, but a better word is probably wrestling. It's about being brutally honest with God about your doubts, your fears, your anger. Step 2 is watching. Habakkuk literally says, I'm going to go climb my watchtower and wait for God's answer. This isn't passive, it's active, expectant waiting. And then amazingly, the journey ends in worshiping. The book doesn't end with all the answers tied up in a neat bow. It ends with a powerful song of praise, where Habakkuk decides to trust God's character no matter what happens. It's this incredible arc, isn't it? He goes from the question mark of his first complaint to the exclamation point of his final praise. It's a journey from fear to trust, from complaint to confidence. And that's where we see the lasting power of that one sentence, the righteous will live by his faith. It was never a promise that life would be easy. It was the promise of an anchor in the middle of the storm. Which leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? Is faith the absence of all doubt? Or is it the journey we take right through the middle of it?